AITA for booking to go away at the same time as my boyfriend, leaving him to look after our daughter. My boyfriend and I have a 3-year-old daughter together. He used to go away very occasionally by himself before we had her, and this has increased quite a lot since she was born. Not for long periods, just a night or two. He also visits his daughter from a previous relationship, which is fine, but I am mentioning as relevant later. He is notoriously bad for informing me when he is going away. He always claims he told me and I forgot. There have been times where he has arranged to see his daughter on weekends when plans have already been made. These were all pre-COVID. Once I had arranged for my mom to babysit for our anniversary and for us to go out. Another time I was meant to be attending a baby shower and needed him to watch our daughter. Another time I had arranged to go to the theater with a friend. His daughter lives quite far away, so he wouldn't have made it back in time to watch our daughter. He was fully aware of all these plans and claimed he forgot when arranging to see his daughter. I didn't ask him to cancel, as it is not fair on her, so I had to make other arrangements in each case. Obviously he has been going away less because of restrictions. As soon as they eased, he went away. I have never had a night away from our daughter. I had made a couple of plans, but each time a lockdown happened, so obviously they got cancelled. He says he encourages me to go away and he is not stopping me. I have tried to explain that his going away so much does stop me, as someone needs to look after our child. Not comfortable for either of my parents to watch her yet, just in case of any risk. In the summer, once restrictions are lifted, I have arranged to see my friend for a couple of days. I told him about it and he said I couldn't do it on that date because he was going on a cycle holiday. I told him he hasn't told me anything about this, and yet again he claims he did and I forgot. He asked me to cancel it, saying I could go to my friend's anytime. I could rearrange it but feel I shouldn't have to. He could also rearrange camping. So I have been refusing. He is now in a sulk. Am I the idiot for not rearranging my plans? Edit. I had got a family calendar when the issues of his double booking seeing his daughter arose. Problem is, he will only write in it if I nag him to do so. Or he will say he will do it later and not to treat him like a child. Update. Not sure if anyone really wanted an update, but the situation came to a head, so I just wanted to vent. Thank you to everyone who commented. So I had a word with him about the family calendar and people's suggestions about if it's not on the calendar it doesn't exist. Making sure my time away was there. He seemed to go along with it and said he would reschedule his cycle trip. Great, I thought. Until it came to the morning of the trip. My BF often gets up super early and I roll over and go back to sleep, so thought nothing of it when he was up early. Heard the door go but just presumed he was taking out the bins or something. When I woke up, I couldn't find him and the car was gone. Tried to phone him, no answer. Some of his stuff had gone. I asked my neighbor to check his garage for my BF's bike, where he keeps it. It had gone. Confused and quietly seething at this point, try his phone a couple more times. Nothing. Phone my friend at this point, saying I can find him and will probably miss my train. About midday I got a phone call. He had gone on his trip. Tell me to check the calendar. He has Tippexed out my writing and written in his trip. I said a few choice words to him. He basically says it's my fault as I should have got up earlier. So I told him that he won and he is now free to go on as many cycle trips as he wants now. Friend suggested taking the kids to the seaside. Her son is a similar age. We spent the next day at the beach and had a nice time. Told BF not to come back. He says I'm overreacting, but I am done. He came back on Sunday. Unfortunately, I can't change locks due to renting. Came back like nothing had really happened. I calmly asked him to leave as our daughter was about. He said he wasn't going anywhere and he will watch her next week so I could go away. I said I couldn't believe he had completely missed the point of what he had done. Called my brother and asked him to pick us up. We have been staying there until I can sort out the practical parts of the split. My ex called non-stop and turned up at my brother's house, where brother turned him away. He has finally apologized. I said I am still done. I just don't have the energy or the will anymore. Not the idiot. Don't you just love it when the trash takes itself out? The only thing that you need to do now is to make sure you don't bring the trash back into the house. Good for you and thanks for the update. It's going to be a most beautiful day. Not the idiot. Wow, good on you for ending it. What he did was beyond disrespectful. He would rather act like a child than have a conversation. Who thinks I'll cross their plans out, and if I sneak out early enough they can't do anything about it. He deserves to be single. Should she have given him a chance? Let me know in the comments. No. AITA for revealing to my dad's wife the real reason why me and him were never close. My dad practically gave me up to his sister from the moment I, male 27, was born. My mom died when she was giving birth to me, and my aunt told me he never recovered from that because he blamed me for her dying. It hurt a lot as a kid that at family events he would ignore my existence. When I was a little older he got more vocal about me killing her and he can't stand to look at my face. You can imagine the amount of therapy that put me in. I used to go to church crying because I was scared about going to hell for doing that to my mom. That's how much his words freaked me up. But the shitty part was that I never stopped trying to be accepted by him. After my high school graduation he told me to never bother him again since he legally has no obligation to me anymore, since he was sending my aunt money to take care of me. Around that time is when I finally started accepting that reality, so from there we moved on with our lives. My aunt doesn't talk to me about him. Sometimes my grandparents do, and that's how I found out he got married. They were mad he didn't invite me to their wedding, but to me it didn't matter because we're not close. But it was his wife who wanted to meet me. It's the first time ever that he wants to make contact, and it was to pretty much say she wants me in their life. She doesn't know the real reason why we're estranged. He asked me to please not say anything and maybe this could be a way to reconcile after all. But he was only doing it for her. That much was clear when we talked. I never said I would be. He still insisted on us meeting at their place because she really wanted to meet me. All she thinks is we were estranged for not getting along in my teenage years, going to college and losing touch because of life stuff. It pissed me off that he played it off as us just not talking for petty reasons, meanwhile the actual reason damaged me for years. I told her the truth, everything he said to me, that he was never a parent to me, that was all my aunt. It was definitely a shock for her. The outcome was a disaster. Everyone has heard about this now. My grandma in particular told me she understands my anger. But this was his chance to find someone since losing my mom and now it's been put in jeopardy. My dad is devastated. They think it was going too far to ruin his marriage that way when he was willing to include me in their lives, which could have been the start of our relationship. And they say not only did I ruin it but also possibly wrecked his marriage. She just doesn't agree at all with what he did and it could have been avoided if I didn't say anything. For me it was hard not to tell the truth after the lies made it seem like it was nothing serious. I couldn't ignore what happened after what it did. Like if it was the right call since it put their whole marriage at risk after all. Update. Words can't express how much it meant to me getting so much love from my last post. Everyone who supported not just my actions but also acknowledged the hurt. To all the sweet internet moms who commented and DM'd me, y'all know how to make someone feel loved even by total strangers, lol. Since so many people wanted an update here, it's a little heavy and for a couple days I needed some time to process it and cry. They're splitting up. Heard it first from my grandma then from his wife, or I guess ex. She was legit crying on the phone when she called to tell me sorry for putting me in that position. Her and my dad had a longer conversation where he told her everything else he did so she made that decision she can't stay with someone like him. And she wanted me to know how disgusted she is. Also to tell me thanks, which is something I really needed to hear. My dad is who he is, yeah, but regardless, two people splitting their marriage because of what you said is a hard thing not to feel guilty about. This lady is heartbroken going through divorce just a few months after getting married and she wanted to make the time to reassure someone else that they made the right choice. Unexpectedly though, my dad wanted us to talk yesterday too. My girlfriend again didn't want me to. Trust me, I get her point. She's the one who didn't want me having dinner with them in the first place. For one thing, we didn't know what he wanted to talk about and what would that do to my mental health. It was probably a bad risk to take, but I met with him. And yeah, I should listen to my girlfriend more when it comes to this stuff. First time in my life I think we had a conversation about my mom. How much he loved her, them being happy and excited about having a family. But then she died and he told me even if it's wrong he can't ever not blame me because simply, if I hadn't been born, she'd still be here. He's only sorry for not completely staying away from me and saying horrible things growing up. While he wasn't saying this to be malicious since he seemed sincere, it was still an ouch for me. In the end we decided having a relationship with each other was never gonna happen and said goodbye. He at least apologized for trying to put me in that position. First good thing he ever did was tell me what happened with his wife wasn't my fault. Then I just went home and cried. Had my day to process a short therapy session and support from both my aunt and girlfriend to get me through. The rest of my family is leaving me alone, at least, so glad that in the end it was resolved. Not a total happy ending, I know, but in the end it's better this way. Not the idiot. You gave that woman the best possible gift she could ever have, honesty. Something that she clearly didn't get from her own husband, which is a second tragedy in all this. The truth of what happened would have eventually come out at some point, so the best thing for you and for her was what happened when it happened. Not the idiot. I'm sorry your sperm donor is such a bad person. I'm glad that you are taking care of yourself and you shouldn't feel guilty at all. You only told the truth. Be strong, Opus. You deserve to be loved. What do you think of this sperm donor? Let me know in the comments. Now, WIBTA for throwing every wrestling match I am forced to attend. My male, 15, school has recently restarted all of the sport programs after almost a year of no limited activity. Before that I was part of the swim team, one of the smaller groups at our school. I love swimming and it really sucked that we couldn't go for such a long time. With the restart, the school also made a new system. Every student writes down 3 different after-school activities in order of interest. So 1. Choice is your favorite, 2. Your second favorite, and so on. The teachers in charge of the groups then pick the students. First pick is students who already belong to the groups before lookdown. Second pick is then random, and third pick is if there are still places left open in the group. Since I was part of the swim team before and put it down as my first choice, I would basically be guaranteed to get in. But now the results are out and I was placed in wrestling. I never even put that on my list at all, so I went to the teacher and asked what's going on. Turns out the teacher in charge of wrestling specifically requested me for whatever reason. Turns out my dad knows the wrestling teacher quite well and asked for me to be placed on the team. I know my dad hates that I prefer swimming. He always says it's not a real sport, and that I should do some sport that actually gives me muscles. He constantly tells me I'm too skinny for a guy and has made several attempts to make me go to the gym to work out. I asked the teachers if I can still switch teams, but they said no. I also cannot just avoid the wrestling club because after-school activities are mandatory. So last night I had a huge fight with my dad. I called him and asked for forcing me to go to wrestling and that I will just forfeit every single match I have to attend. He threatened me, saying if I do that he will take away all my electronics and I will only be allowed to leave the house for school, and nothing else. My mom says I should have the right to choose whatever sport I want. But now that I'm on the wrestling team I should still do my best. Also not to call my dad an ass. But I don't want to participate in something I have zero interest in, was forced into even. Also, I was really looking forward to swimming again and meeting my teammates. Edit. Thanks so far for the support. Next week I will talk to more teachers, guidance teachers, and also write to the principal. Guess I will also try to talk with my mom again and maybe convince her. Also will mention what some people wrote, that wrestling could potentially be dangerous. Maybe that will convince her. Worst case, I will go through with it and just put in zero effort if no one listens to me. EDIT2. So this has gotten a lot more responses than I thought. First of all, thanks to everyone supporting me. I talked to my mom again, without my dad nearby. She still thinks I should give wrestling a try, but if I really want to change, she will support me. So next week I will go and talk first to my swim coach and the wrestling coach and hopefully get it resolved. Otherwise I will go further to the principal. I can post an update next week and tell you guys how things worked out. Some of you suggested I should go to the newspaper or something, but I really do not feel comfortable blowing things up like that. Slandering the school is gonna backfire like 100%. I have also gotten a lot of creative things instead of just throwing the match. I would like to show my face in public sometime, so no, I will ignore most of the really weird suggestions. Thanks, I guess. I also got a few questions about the rule of afternoon activities being mandatory. So we have to do activities for 2 years total, but we are free to choose when we do them during high school. We can choose between a lot of club activities offered by the school, not just sports, but all kind of activities. Music, art, reading, writing clubs, gardening, or even game design. School club activities are always free, and if you require financial assistance like an instrument or so, I think you can also get financial aid. But I don't really know the details. Additionally, if we attend a club or regular activity outside of school, we can also get credits for that. Just need work it out with the teachers. We also don't get grades or something. It is just noted on our final report. I also do not really know what happens if you don't complete them. Update. First things first, I am back on the swim team. For now, today was a really weird and awkward day. First opportunity, I went to talk to my swim coach and explain the whole situation, and that I'm not willing to stay on the wrestling team. He was pretty mad at my dad as well as the wrestling coach, so he took me to the secretary, explained the whole thing, and asked her to change the list. She was in turn quite mad, because apparently the whole system is a big mess. I'm not even remotely the only student who was misplaced. So then the secretary called in my homeroom teacher. There were a lot of accusations. I was just standing there feeling awkward. Really weird to see 3 adults being mad at each other. In the end, I was basically told by all 3 to just ignore the whole thing and that I can just join the swim team if I want to. I figured that was it. Until the end of school day, then the wrestling coach had me come to his office. He gave me a long talk about how disappointed he is, how he had high hopes for me, blah blah blah. I told him I really don't care and that he was a jerk for just ignoring what I want to do. To sum up, wrestling coach mad at me, homeroom teacher mad at me for complaining, swimming coach mad at school, and my dad is probably gonna freak out when he hears that I won't wrestle. Oh well. Lastly, I want to thank all the people that encouraged me to stand up for myself. You had a lot of good advice, and some really weird advice, and some really terrible but funny advice. Thank you all. Small update. Mom told dad about the switch as he came home from work. He has so far completely ignored me, not a single word. Actually a nice outcome, I guess. Last update. I wanted to add a last point here. Last night, I had a talk with my dad and my mom. It was awkward. Dad apologized for the wrestling thing but also said he wants me to grow up strong so that I can defend myself. He says swimming won't help me when I get in trouble. I was really confused about that because I never have been bullied or gotten in trouble or something like that. Mom later told me that my dad used to get bullied a lot in high school, so he started working out in college and that helped him a lot. I guess he wanted me to do the same. It's really weird at home at the moment, but I guess he is not a complete ass. Still kinda, but I don't know.